Hey there, and welcome to today's Explainer. If you're currently studying for your Canadian citizenship test, you've landed in exactly the right place. Today, we're doing a highly focused, high-yield review session, covering two of the absolute most critical sections of the Discover Canada Study Guide: federal elections and the justice system. Now, these pages are literally packed with testable facts, specific numbers, and key vocabulary. I know, studying all this can feel pretty stressful, and those multiple-choice questions, yeah, they are notoriously tricky. But don't worry, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to know, highlighting the specific concepts that examiners absolutely love to test. So, grab a notepad, get comfortable, and let's get you totally ready to ace this exam. Here's our strict syllabus for today's review. We'll be hitting federal election basics, voter eligibility requirements, forming the government, Canadian justice principles, the court structure, and finally, law enforcement and police. Remember, we are only zeroing in on the most highly testable facts today. All right, let's dive right into Section 1, Federal Election Basics. Your first highly testable number is 4. Under Canadian law, federal elections must be held on the third Monday in October every 4 years following the most recent general election. You really want to memorize that phrase, third Monday in October every 4 years. However, there is a crucial exception you absolutely must know for the test. An election can actually happen sooner if the Prime Minister asks the Governor General to call an earlier election. The Governor General is the real key figure to remember here. The Prime Minister asks, sure, but the Governor General is the one who officially calls it. Okay. Here is your next magic number for the exam, 308. Canada is divided into exactly 308 electoral districts. You really need to lock this number in your mind. Why does this matter? Well, because each of these 308 geographical areas elects exactly one member of Parliament, or MP, to sit in the House of Commons. That means during a federal election, there are 308 seats up for grabs, and the citizens in each individual district are voting to choose who will represent their specific area in Ottawa. So, an electoral district is a geographical area represented by a member of Parliament. But here's the classic multiple-choice test trap you need to watch out for. The exam will very often use synonyms. You absolutely must know that an electoral district is also officially known as a riding or a constituency. If a test question asks you what a riding is or what a constituency is, don't get tripped up. You need to know they mean the exact same thing. It's just the local geographical area you live in which elects one MP. Moving on to Section 2, Voter Eligibility Requirements. Basically, who can actually vote? To vote in a federal election or a referendum, you have to meet 3 very strict criteria. You must be a Canadian citizen, you must be at least 18 years old on voting day, and you must be on the voters list. Take special note of that first point, guys. You must be a Canadian citizen. Permanent residents cannot vote in federal elections. As for the voters list itself, this is produced by Elections Canada, which is a neutral agency of Parliament using the National Register of Electors. If you meet all 3 of these criteria, you have the right and, honestly, the responsibility to vote. And when you do step up to vote, you are protected by this absolutely core democratic principle, the secret ballot. Canadian law explicitly secures your right to vote privately. This means absolutely no one can watch you vote, and no one should ever look at how you voted. It is a strictly private act. Now, you can totally choose to discuss your vote with friends or family if you want to, but the law strictly guarantees your privacy. Okay, let's simulate a quick test question to force some active recall based on what we literally just covered. Pop quiz. Can anyone legally insist you reveal your vote? The answer is a hard, absolute no. Not your family members, not your employer, and not a union representative. Literally no one has the right to legally insist you reveal your vote. So, if you see a multiple-choice question suggesting your boss or your spouse has the right to know, you know immediately that it's false. Let's look at Section 3, Forming the Government. What actually happens next after the voting stops? Pay very close attention to this exact sequence of events, because order matters here. Step 1, an election happens, and a political party wins the most seats in the House of Commons. Step 2, the Governor General steps in. The Governor General personally invites the leader of that winning party to form the government. Step 3, after being appointed by the Governor General, that party leader officially becomes the Prime Minister. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is that the Prime Minister isn't just magically declared the winner. They are formally appointed by the Governor General after their party secures the most seats. Shifting gears to Section 4, Canadian Justice Principles. Let's look at some core legal values. First up is the concept of due process. Canada's legal system is built on a rich heritage that includes the rule of law, freedom under the law, and democratic principles. Due process is the specific principle that the government must respect all the legal rights a person is entitled to under the law. Simply put, it means the government can't just arbitrarily take away your freedom. They have to follow established, fair, legal procedures. Next is perhaps the most famous legal principle of all, and honestly a guaranteed exam concept: the presumption of innocence. In criminal matters in Canada, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is entirely on the legal system to prove guilt, not on the individual to somehow prove their innocence. Furthermore, you need to remember that the law in Canada applies strictly to everyone. It doesn't matter if you are a judge, a high-ranking politician, or a police officer. Everyone is equally subject to the law, no exceptions.
The figure of Lady Justice, usually depicted holding scales, is a highly likely visual you might encounter on the exam. Notice specifically that she's wearing a blindfold. The study guide explicitly states that the blindfolded Lady Justice symbolizes the impartial manner in which our laws are administered. That blindfold means justice is completely blind to all outside considerations, like wealth, power, race, or social status, and looks only at the hard facts.
Let's move to Section 5, the court structure. This is all about the hierarchy of the courts.
At the very top of the hierarchy, the ultimate authority, you have the Supreme Court of Canada. If the exam asks what the highest court in the country is, that is exactly your answer. Just below that, dealing specifically with matters concerning the federal government, is the Federal Court of Canada. And finally, the vast majority of day-to-day justice happens down in the provincial courts. This level includes appeal and trial courts, as well as specialized courts for things like family issues, traffic violations, and small claims. Finally, Section 6, Law Enforcement and Police. Let's talk about the different types of police. For the test, you really need to group the police forces into 3 distinct buckets for easy memorization. First, there are municipal police departments, which exist in major urban centers across all the provinces. Second, there are provincial police forces, and guys, this is a massive test tip, so listen up, these only exist in Ontario and Quebec. Finally, there's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or the RCMP, which enforces federal laws throughout the entire country.
Let's really clarify the dual role of the RCMP, because honestly, this is a super common point of confusion on the exam. The RCMP enforces federal laws everywhere in Canada, period. However, because provinces outside of Ontario and Quebec do not have their own specific provincial police forces, the RCMP actually steps in to serve as the provincial police in all those other provinces and territories. So if a test question asks you who acts as the provincial police in, let's say, Alberta or Nova Scotia, the answer is the RCMP.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground. We've gone over the strict timing of elections, those 308 electoral districts, the absolute privacy of the secret ballot, and the vital formal role of the Governor General. We've also explored the foundational ideas of due process, the presumption of innocence, and exactly how the courts and police uphold these laws for every single person in the country. So I'll leave you with this final thought. If the laws apply to everyone equally, are you ready to exercise your right to vote and uphold your exciting new responsibilities as a Canadian citizen? Keep reviewing these core concepts, and you are going to be more than ready for exam day. Good luck, you've got this!